separate from all that kind of stuff. It's like I'm gonna go with paranormal stuff now.
Did you hear that? There was something that just moved in one of these 2 rooms.
We're documenting a structure that we found last night.
I'll go up to the house and bang on it and say, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Now,
What the fuck was that?
Did you hear that?
Hola, what's up?
Not much. How you doing,
No,
man?
I thought I'd keep in tradition for, Cinco de Mayo today, so.
Oh, yeah, very true, very true.
No, really, this is the Cryptic Heartland podcast. This is episode number 81. It's been hard to believe we got 81 under the belt, but should be by 100 by now. We've missed a couple
Oh,
shows along the way, including last week, but we apologize for that.
too tired.
Yeah, everybody was tired from being all over the. Well, I was in Missouri. You were in Wilson, which we'll talk about here in just a few, and whatnot. So it's all good. But like I said, this is episode 81 of the Cryptic Heartland podcast. I'm Leo. Over there, you got those two. Who are you guys?
This is Jason and I'm Dan.
Yeah.
Reverse that. But no. Before we get started here, just make
But
sure.
we're twins.
Yeah, I know. Dumb and Dumber.
That's just me.
Have you met me? Anyways, now before we get started here, just remind everybody at home, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on. That way when we go live, you go live with us. And make sure you tell your friends, like I said, tell everybody. Just tell some random stranger, hey, check out Cryptic Heartland Podcast on the interwebs, because it's a fun show. That's why we do it. We do it for you guys, and we do it for ourselves also too. So, but yeah.
Gives us a chance to talk about anything and everything. Since
Yes.
it's kind of led us away from all the paranormal ghost stuff, Now we're leaning more into the paranormal of cryptids and aliens
Right.
and stuff like that, and I love it.
But tonight we're going to talk about Donald Trump. So, no, I'm kidding. Save that for. I'm just kidding. We can do that one of these days, but we're not doing tonight. So.
No. I would just sit back and watch.
Now you would not. You would be chiming in too. Don't lie.
I get too angry. No one likes it, and then they get mad and pissy, and then they walk away.
That's okay. I'm that way every day, so mad and pissy. Not because Donald Trump, just because that's who I am. But no, but really. Anyways, like I said, tonight we're gonna discuss some things. Of course, as you guys know, last week was the first inaugural. That's not even the first, but the inaugural. Kind of the first. Same thing. The inaugural Metapara Physical Conference out in Wilson, Kansas at the Midland Railroad Hotel. The guys, as you can see, they're wearing matching shirts. Weird thing is they're not wearing any pants. So anyways. But,
yeah, we're not allowed to stand up.
but no, they're gonna talk about the event we had last weekend and just some things, what went on and how it went, and kind of go over just different things. And whatever else we want to talk about, I don't know. Whatever comes to mind, we'll make it up as we go along.
Yeah, we got it. I got some ideas of some topics to bring up tonight and everything. That's kind of, I don't know, just stuff that I've been reading and looking into and stuff that's just been piquing my interest a little bit more. Probably most of it's fake, but it's worth talking about, I think, because it's all over the internet and stuff like that. But how do you feel it went last weekend?
Well, overall, I mean, talking to the guest speakers and talking to the actual guests, everybody enjoyed it. Everybody had a great time. For our first festival, I mean, we didn't really have any major hiccups. I mean, everything went well.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit of an issue with some of the equipment to start out with, setting up the projector, but that was easily remedied. And everything went, fluid after that.
Yeah.
The guest, they enjoyed every bit of it. Again, there's a couple things that we have to fix, and easily recognizable now on the backside, so we'll just make sure it happens next time. So.
Contracting.
Yes.
That's something. Learned a lot that way, So,
Yeah.
but no, I can't say enough about the guests that came. They enjoyed it. Everyone got along. It was just so much fun. Had some vendors there that were selling some things, doing readings along with Lena and Jeremiah. Jeremiah, of course, was doing the rune readings. Lena was doing her cards, tarot readings, which one of these days I might do. One of these days.
Yeah.
You do tarot readings?
Yeah, no, do that with her.
Oh, okay.
You don't want me to. I'd lie to you if I was doing the reading. I'd make up all kinds of stuff.
We ought to do
I have no gift on that.
we ought to do a group reading. That would be kind of interesting to see. Just
the team
just
itself.
the team itself. Yeah.
I wonder if anybody's done that. That'd be cool.
We've done the group reading. Well, I was a guest at the time, but down in Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And in Lawrence, we did that one down in the basement. Yeah. That was a good time.
That's the Eldridge.
Yeah, the Eldridge. Yeah. But man, I'd hate to. Yeah, we can come up with some really good stuff with the team, especially.
Wow.
Yeah. It'd be neat to see.
No, and big thanks to Darren Dito, to Dan Terry, to Brandon Callahan, Jason Kay, Paul Rudy.
Yeah.
For coming out and speaking to us, to everybody, sharing your life story basically on how you got into the paranormal. Everything was fascinating. It was fun to actually see the different styles of people that were there. Dan Terry, he's kind of more of the minimalist when it comes to like how he investigates. Dowsing rods, K2, and goes with it.
I could see Dan Terry and Dennis being like that when they go to investigations. They both have been doing it about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Of course, Dan did have a small, window in there where he stopped for professional reasons. But I bet. The same, the dowsing rods in the old school way, and I think.
Yeah. And I got to work with him that night when we did the ghost hunt that Saturday night, and it was a lot of fun and interesting to hear him talking with the spirits, with the dowsing rods, and the stuff that he was catching and getting.
Right.
And come to find out, up there in 305 of the hotel, he was getting conflicting answers, like big time. Like nothing was really pinpointing on a sheriff or anything like that. I think it is definitely male presence that is conflicted on what's going on with itself, but it wasn't. It was interesting.
Well, and the guest that we had that showed up impromptu, they just drove by seeing that there was a ghost thing happening in Wilson, and they said, "Hey, I gotta stop."
Yeah, Mike Richards.
Mike, yes. So talking with him, of course, he was able to sense things and feel things, and the information that he passed on, basically the same thing. That's the reason I decided to start this week, and I've delved pretty deep into doing research on the Wilson, the hauntings there, and the stories of Bart and everything. And I'm finding conflicting reports myself, so we'll have to see. I'm joining a couple sites, and I'm trying to get into some old newspaper clippings and microfiche and stuff. So we'll find out what I can come across, and we'll see. I'd like to be able to, because I had two different people tell me this last weekend, that they feel there's some confliction to what the stories are stating.
Well, and we're only basing all of our stories and trying to get that's from what we've been told to what we are trying to use with our equipment.
Yes.
Which is what we were trying to tell Paul Rudy. How we were doing and using the equipment.
Yep.
Because he never had done anything like this before. So it was interesting to see his, views of everything, which, I mean, in some aspects of how he was looking at it, everything is together. It is, I don't know. He went off on,
Yeah.
he put me on the spot, and I tried my best to, and I think I did a good job in keeping my cool of.
You did. Yes, you did. Yeah, he did try to throw some holes into the
all the equipment.
But
all
of
that
course,
stuff.
yeah.
All of our recordings, all of our from the EVPs to how we do this and that, but not understanding that we've been doing it for a while now, not just a day or two or a few weeks.
Right.
We've been doing it for a few years, but he's a sound man. He's a tech guy that dealt with a lot of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of interesting to kind of figure out how to.
Well, a few of the EVPs, I mean, even astounded him, so that's a good thing. He was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
But,
his view of. It's always the dog attack
Dogs.
upstairs. But when we talking with him, it was interesting just to see how he was trying to connect the earth and everything with the paranormal, and
well,
it was interesting, but there's a lot of conflicting from our side to his views and stuff
Right.
like that. So,
well, in all fairness, I mean, there probably is a circle with the earth, and
Yeah.
I mean, because you got elementals and you got
Yeah.
yeah, but not in the sense that he was putting it out. I mean, it was kind of strange, but yeah. But I mean, it was very interesting to see that other side of not even paranormal scope, but that side of the earth and the energies by sound.
Right.
It was neat to see, and the wheel that he did outside, that was the earth wheel, and that was neat to see. And
yeah, I did not get a picture of it finished or anything. I meant to do so, but being there from Friday morning to Sunday morning, I was a little exhausted from it all. So didn't get a picture of it, but I'm sure we will next time.
yes,
We're out there, but you might even beat us out there. Who knows? You're always traveling.
I always do a lot of weekend driving around. Yeah, I'm like, yeah. They're doing some work on it. Actually, not that part of it, but around it this weekend.
Right.
She had some other people up there.
Yeah, they were doing some more. They had a garden out there or something,
Yeah.
I guess. But and then our other guest speakers, you have. We kind of got some photographs of them that we can show here after a bit. But Callahan was out there, Brandon Callahan, who's the writer of 2 books. He's been on a couple television shows, working on some projects of his own still.
That's Brandon right there.
That's Brandon Callahan doing his presentation downstairs, talking about how he began and how it all started with that first book, and then he led into the second book, which is, we talk about it a lot because it's Tahlequah.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? But just, his views of stuff and how it affected him is basically, you don't hear about that side of everyone who's going after spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. He actually was open about it, and he's private. He even mentioned that he's private when it comes to who he's talking to and telling stories to and everything like that. But it affected his life and affected his family. Even though he says his wife is biggest skeptic.
Yeah.
Out there, but it's affected him a lot. So
Well, even presenting, you can still see that it was still affecting him while he's doing.
yeah,
the
he's
presentation.
he's had 3 hip surgeries, and he even
Yeah.
mentioned that it's
Yeah.
his health has not been the same ever since diving into some of these cases that he's done.
Yeah, it's
And
kind
he
of
still walks around with a cane every so often.
yeah, it's kind of like we talked about in previous episodes how it's
Yeah.
kind of affected some of us.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
it's not all fun and games, as much people think it is, and I mean, it goes into a lot of hard work and dedication, and just, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to when you don't know what you're up against sometimes, or you can't see what you're up against always. I mean, you don't know what it's doing to you physically, mentally.
Oh, I didn't even know what we were getting into in Tahlequah. You know, I
Right.
just knew it was Oklahoma. The team. For first time with the team going out of state at that time. You know, it was a lot of fun. It was interesting. And then when we got there, it seemed way too realistic. You know, it wasn't just your typical. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
No, this was. Did you just see that creature? Did you just see that shadow? Did you hear that scream? You know, it was crazy the kind of things that we were experiencing out there. But then you have Dan Terry, who is a former police officer who has been investigating for a long time. He has 6 books, which I ended up buying all of them while I was there.
I got 4.
I believe we got all of them. But
I think you did, yes.
had him autographed, and he's based out of Missouri, not far from Herman, Missouri. He does a lot of work out there. He doesn't live far from there, just outside of St. Louis, I think, too. Kind of in between there and Herman, but he does ghost hunts, storytelling. I mean, he's a man of many trades, and he's been into some very interesting locations.
Yeah, he
I
has.
mean, it was fascinating to hear all the stories of the prisons he's been to. Places like he went to the Crescent Hotel, which
He did, yeah.
You know, he had activity and a lot of things going on where you said it was
it was active. Of
But-
course, I did a tour.
Right.
And, what we did our walking around ourselves. And
right.
activity that we had, yes. It just wasn't, the most haunted hotel in America. Maybe you would feel that it would be more of
Right.
more an ambience feel, and it just didn't have that. But I mean, it is. I mean, there's a lot of history to it. So, and there's a lot of death in that hotel. So I mean, I could see that there's some stuff going
Right.
on for sure.
And he was showing video. He did a lot of videos showing the cases as they happen. And there's one scene where you could hear the spirit or the
No.
but you could hear the spirit and everything like shuffle through the room, and the cage of the jail door actually closing in and shoving him across the room into the wall.
And that
too.
was off of the old ship, right? The barracks.
Yeah, the old
Off of
barracks.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was a 300-400 pound door.
And he takes people into these cases that are actually skeptics, or they've never done it before. And he's even doing one where he has a guy sitting on the ground doing Tan Terry's sitting on the ground doing the dowsing rods, where another guy is filming who's scared to death and doesn't want to be there, but thinks it's all fake. But as everything's starting to happen with the voices and the dowsing rods moving, that you can see the guy doing the camera work, he's starting to shake until it actually starts calling out his name, and it says
4
it
times.
4 times, and he finally just like drops the camera and is like, "I'm out of here."
And he left.
He
Where was
left.
this at?
He never came back.
Where was it at? Did he say?
That was in the old barracks, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yep. Interesting.
Yeah.
it was an old ship barrack cell they put inside. They built this building around it.
Uh
They set it in there and built the building around it. Of
Gotcha.
course, they just took it out, but it happened in there. So it was
Interesting.
a courthouse. It was a courthouse, wasn't it?
It was just a jail. I can't remember. Everything kind of blends in. right
Yeah,
now
there were so
to
many
me.
stories. I mean, it's kind of hard to catch them all up. But yeah. But it was interesting. And then, like, he had one case that they were doing down there it was in it was an old opera house or a theater that he was talking about. And we were sitting there listening to it and listening to the evidence. And there's a little girl. Man, that dog's crazy. And you could actually, they were asking her age and, trying to get her age. And she was answering with dowsing rods, yes or no. And it was really interesting. But while we were sitting there listening, of course, the audibles, we had issues with Audible down there. So we was using the one of the speakers that we had, the portable speakers. And it sounded good, but it was right in front of me. And I turned it up for the whole audience. But I actually caught the girl sitting there saying her age of 7, so I told him about it. Because he hadn't heard that. He was going by, just watching the dowsing rods and the K2 responses. And I said, man, you need to listen to that again because you got an audible right there. She answered you. Like, okay, cool. So he was going back to check that out. Yeah.
Nice.
That was neat.
And then we also had Darren Dito, who came in from Arizona all the way to present, and he had quite the story to tell. He really did. It was he's going to get a picture up here in just a second. But
Can't promise that.
But Darren Dito, journalist for a career. He just retired just last year. Moved back. He retired out here from KSN News. He went out to live in Arizona, living the good life out there.
Yeah.
He is now starting back up with his unexplained cases, which was fantastic to hear the story of how it all began. And he started his presentation with a cut up of his 90s
Oh yeah.
show, and all the different, and leading all the way up to today, where he's actually been investigating with his daughters as well.
Yeah.
He's got twin daughters that are going on these investigations with him to kickstart the unexplained cases. And while he was out there in Wilson, he filmed the town. He filmed everything that we've been able to get our hands on. I think he did. It was awesome to tell the story and watch him create the story for the unexplained cases.
Yeah.
It was
I
fun.
bet.
It was a lot of fun. He's been doing it for so long. I thought he was the first ever to do Myrtles, but he wasn't the first. He was just the first ones to ever kind of go in there in that aspect of filming it for live TV.
Gotcha.
And stuff, so
that's cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah, and he's a good. I mean, just listening to him talk, you can, like you said, he did KSN for many years, and previous he was all over. He was in Seattle at one time, and he was different locations. Mississippi, I think. That's why he was down there at Myrtles at the time, but or in that area. But anyways, he was also with us. We met him when we talk about down at the Salon 535. We got the opportunity to work with him exclusively on for the Halloween special called Main Street, Kansas. They came in with us, and that's how we kind of made the connection with him. And he also came on the podcast at one point, and we talked about that episode with him. And then we also talked about the unexplained cases. That's been a while ago, but yeah. So he's been with us for a little bit, off and on, a couple times, and he's just a all-around good guy. Because when you see him, he looks like a straight edge kind of a typical newscaster. I mean, type and.
He was so
the guy's he's a vat of knowledge when it comes to paranormal and aliens and Bigfooting, everything. He's just like us. It's funny.
It was so funny while he was doing that, in that photograph where he's standing.
Yeah, I can put it back up.
Well, he's telling his stories and going through everything. He the elevator kept opening on him.
Right.
He would just like pause and look at it and go, really? And then he'd go on and continue to tell, and then the elevator again would open.
Yeah.
And it was just becoming a comical thing because, I mean, there's nobody upstairs.
Right.
We were done at 5 hours during presentations.
And
it opened up 3 times only during his.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the picture you're looking at on the screen right now, it'd be to his left shoulder, kind of on the right side of the frame. You can't see the elevator.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the screen where they were doing the presentation. But so he was just talking, and then the elevator would open.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fascinating. But he was so comical, but at the same time, he had such a huge span of knowledge, and not just about spirits, but about he talked about the Roswell.
Oh, good, because we had a good conversation with him one night, you and myself and Roth.
Because he was about ready to sit down, and he's like, anything else? And I was just like, anybody have any questions? He's like, oh shit, yeah. And he stands up and he goes, anybody have any questions for me? You know? But yeah, so I asked him right away. I was like, can you just tell him about the Roswell connection you have, and that the mortician story was true.
Yeah.
The caskets of children were true.
Right.
The nurse did talk about how she disappeared.
He didn't? Or did?
I don't know if he knows anything about that, but it's the fact that his wife knew the people that knew the mortician and everything.
That's right. Okay, I couldn't remember the connection.
But the mortician did tell them about the story of the nurse coming over, because the nurse was friends with him and everything like that. So, but I don't know if he knows about her disappearing or anything. I'm sure he does.
Yeah, well, that's documented.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there for everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if he knows the whole story behind that, or if his wife does, or
I'm sure they do. Yeah. But the fact that they asked for the 3 children caskets.
Yeah. And
the mortician just puzzled, why does the base need this at this particular time at night?
Sure.
You know.
You would think
why?
Yeah, there's no kids on base. Well, there could be, I guess, but not for in a military base that's secluded.
In 1947.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the base was just all lit up, and there was mayhem out there. That was like all just crazy.
Yeah.
Out there. So.
One of my favorite episodes of Fact or Fake goes out to there, and they're close to Area 51 and all that area, and just all of a sudden the base lights up, like kind of like what you're talking about. It lights up, and then it goes instantly dark, and they see a streak go across the sky, like as if something was shot across the sky at that same time, because they're out in the desert. They're not in the restricted area, because you can't be in there. Obviously, you get arrested or shot if you're in there. And
probably arrested, but
they draw guns on you. So
yeah, they do.
There's quite a good few videos out there online. I was watching one just the other day of these 2 guys who ride motorcycles out. They're out there. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
And the cops, or the cops, what do they call them? The men in I can't remember what they called them.
Something. Fatigues.
They gave or something. They give them a name because they see them all the time, and they were not having. They like, what are you doing out here? And they held him at gunpoint and all this stuff, and he was like, I will shoot you if you don't get off of that bike, whatever. It's just they don't. It's no nonsense out there, which makes you wonder. I mean, yes, it's military, but I mean, think about how much we drive. We drive by McConnell all the time, and they're not as.
Right.
I mean, we can drive up within yards of the fence, basically without having any kind of problems, whatever. But out there, it's like
3 miles away, they sit there and draw down on you.
Yeah, it's wild stuff, man. But no, just going back, yeah, Darren, like you said, was it his wife that worked out there? Is that what it was, or did she know somebody out there, Jason? Do you remember Darren's wife?
Yeah, just through the grapevine of meeting people and knowing, just like acquaintances and stuff, and of course, if it's Roswell, you're gonna ask tell the story. So
right.
Yeah, but it's through his wife that she knew somebody, which is just mind-boggling, just to know that people are still talking about it, still very vivid to them of the story that's happened.
62 years later.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which,
some people are almost that age, right, Dan?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I get in trouble for saying it, but Jason calls you 50.
I know, I can't believe you did that stuff, man. That stuff.
I thought Roth was 50.
There he is, right there, speaking of the man.
I know.
He's off camera. Oh, my God, he's over here flashing me.
Oh, no. That is so wrong.
But, so what's your honest opinion about Roswell?
Something happened. I mean, it's not a weather balloon. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Whether it's one of our mishaps, we created something that...
Hit a button, sorry. Keep talking, my bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Something.
Well,
alien craft or not, maybe.
Well, whatever it was, it's amazing that we are. Yeah. Now I got that picture from an interrogation. Have you seen this video?
Is that the one, the infamous one, or
No,
there's another one?
That's the other one with the pig in the corner.
Oh, I'll
That
play
other
that.
photo.
You put that up
But,
first.
but this one, no, I watched this one today. The one that you're looking at right now. It's an American asking questions to this creature, which is, obviously a gray alien. But supposedly this this alien here is saying that I'm not alien, I'm you.
Really?
And okay, where'd you come from? I'm time traveling.
Huh.
I time travel back. This
Uh-huh.
is what is the future for you. And okay, while you're time traveling, what happened to the human race? Nuclear war.
Okay.
Only a few survived and were able to get off the planet. And this is what we have now. And now they're coming back to observe to see what they could possibly do to change.
So this alien that you see on screen right here, he was trying to say that it was the interviewer.
Is human. That is human way in the future.
Oh, he wasn't saying that he was
he's
that.
human. This is what we evolve into.
He was saying. I thought you were saying he was telling the interviewer, excuse me,
He's an
that.
interrogation is what he is.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying what I'm saying is I thought maybe you were saying that this alien was trying to say that he was that person talking to him.
No.
It's just saying this is what humans become.
No, he's asking you.
I got you.
Who are you? Where are you from?
I
And
got
it's
you.
like I'm time travel. I'm. We are. And it's an interesting video. It obviously, most likely, is fake.
Could be.
Could be.
Probably, but could be.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the aspect of questions that are being asked about life, mortality, death, what happens to death, and how the alien is actually talking about life. We always have to have he talks about you have to have, us humans always have to have a God, have to have a meaning, a purpose, but it doesn't really matter when you get to that point of wiping yourself out, because when you move on, it's just weird. It's very fascinating. I just happened to fall upon it today. I didn't get the full video to you guys and everything. It's
That's
something
fine.
you can watch on your own.
Where did you come across to that?
YouTube.
Oh, okay. I got you. I didn't know if you were on TV or something.
That other one, the famous one that Factor Faked had, which is I sent the still shot of that one. So forget the pig that's in the corner. That's just the people who posted the video itself too.
Right.
But this video, you see this gray alien that's in distress. It's being, I think it was Brazil.
That sounds right.
I think it was Brazil, and it was soldiers or police or somebody is interrogating this alien, and he's moaning and murmuring and stuff like that. It's nothing you can make out, but it's freaky.
If it's real, yeah. Once again, if it's real, it's pretty.
It's real because they do the whole shining the light in its face, and it backs off and then it backs in. But you see a creature sitting there in the chair, and it's. Have you ever seen it?
A part of it.
Okay.
It almost sounds like what E.T. sounds like. I mean, the movie E.T., where his voice is real kind of, I don't know, distressed or whatever, kind of muddied. But this is the same thing.
It's just fascinating and I know this one was on Fact or Fake, but they didn't chase it for the fact that they couldn't figure out where it came from, the video.
Yeah.
Where to go to even look for it and stuff like that. So they passed it on and put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
But they did play it.
They never revisited it.
Yeah.
Again.
But it was always part of their intro.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So at the very end of their intro, you have that alien screen, kind of leaning forward and moaning, and it always captured my imagination on that. But
It was a cool looking alien. I give him that.
But but that other one, if you just listen to the questions and the answers and stuff, and the creature just continues to look up and answer and then look back down, and you can tell that he just feels like defeated, like, crap, I got caught. I'm not going home. I'm not going to be able to leave, but to say that he is us in the future, this is what we evolved to, because we basically, from political and religious issues, we nuke ourselves, basically. We go into all-out war because we can't come up with any better way of anything, and it just comes to a climatic end and nuclear war, and that's not too far off from an idea that could possibly happen.
Yeah, but why don't ETs ever wear T-shirts?
Well, they look a little more structured than I do.
That is true, too. Yeah, maybe that's what it is, yeah. They don't have to hide their chest hair.
But,
Yeah.
okay, so why in Star Trek do they always have the same uniforms and stuff?
Well,
Just minus, everyone's got matching uniforms.
Yeah.
In the future for us, we're just naked.
it's got to be what it is, yeah.
But no.
Just shaking my head.
But you don't have to keep your hair up or anything. I'm good.
Like
Yeah,
you
you
guys
don't
are like
have
an
to worry
old.
about hair,
You guys are like an old married couple over there.
You want to switch seats?
No, I'm good over here. No, but you were asking. I mean, about the whole Area 51 thing. What do we think and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too much of hush hush, kind of a quiet. Like I said, I get it. It's military. It's probably some top secret. I mean, things like the stealth bomber and things like that came out of that, whatnot, as far as the area and whatnot. And that's probably where they. I mean, that's obviously where they maybe house a lot of those.
Well, our technology blew up shortly after that. As soon
Right.
as that, 1947, it just blew up from that. We broke the sound barrier. We just kept on rising.
Yep. Cell phones, things like that. I mean, I know it wasn't immediately after that, but it was kind of a thought and process, a work in progress, anyways. But I mean, I don't know. They always describe them all the same way too. Which I mean, once I guess you put it out there, it's easy to say the same thing over and over. If you see an alien, it's short body, thin, black eyes, gray skin. A lot of them call them grays. That's what they call them, basically. Except Jason's one on the table is green. Go figure.
Well, that is from Roswell.
No, I know it is,
Little-
yeah.
Yeah.
That one actually
Jeremiah
came from-
picked that up from Roswell.
All the way from Roswell to us. Yep.
And it's great.
Yeah, except it's green, not gray.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's cool. And then, like you said, Darren had that connection, which makes it even more fascinating. I wish we could get him back on the show here. Maybe we will even just have him
We
Skype
could
in.
Skype
Yeah.
in. Oh, it'd be
Because the guy's
fascinating.
fascinating. Like I said, when he was here, we could have talked for hours that day, and we just touched upon the main points. But I'd like to hear a little bit more about his adventures since we last talked. He's been all over to Gettysburg, to Tombstone, to a couple other places down all over. So he's doing some good filming.
He's fascinated about the SLS cameras.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Cool.
We ran upstairs above the soda,
Dentist?
soda shop.
I saw that video.
And everybody had already gotten down. We were leaving. We were finishing up a couple things. He wanted to get a couple more
Sure,
pictures.
of course.
And so I'm running the SLS, and I'm walking towards the stairs, where that ladder is coming down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting ready to walk there, and then all of a sudden the figure pops up over that when you're coming up the stairs, that first door on your left.
Okay.
After you're leaving, it's the last door on your right.
It's the bathroom one.
The bathroom.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
all
figure
mangled.
pops out of there.
Really?
And so I'm like, whoa. And he's looking at that thinking, wow.
Huh.
So then I pulled the SLS this way, and the figure bounced, jumped over this way, followed the camera.
Interesting.
And then, so we watched it for 2-3 minutes, and then we walked forward, and then where the staircase is coming up, you see a figure pop up, real tiny, then all of a sudden just grows up the stairs, and it stands there right there beside this guy. So this guy's taller. This
Really?
guy's about this tall. And so we watched it for a few minutes, and then Jason walks up the stairs, and all of a sudden they kind of like disappeared.
Jason ran him off.
Yeah.
Of course.
I did.
It was cool.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you happen to take it in the basement ever?
Did, yes.
Did you get anything down there?
We had some pretty interesting things down there. Myself and Terry was down there. Dan Terry. We had a whole group. It was the first night, Friday night. We had
Put him back up
about
again.
half a dozen people.
That's Dan Terry.
Yeah. And just to let you know, there is like a strong storm.
Yeah,
coming
I'm
this
watching
way. Yeah, you're watching it? Okay.
I'm watching it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, got a strong signature on the
Yeah.
backside.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
um,
The weather by Jason Roberts.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
we
Sorry.
were there, and we were talking about the. Well, okay. First was in the back of the area where you had the rock throw at you.
Uh-huh.
And Casey. So we're back there, and I show him how to, and he steps in there, and he all of a sudden he's like, man, the feeling in here is just strong.
Sure.
It was a weird feeling. So we stepped out of there, and we walked over to the clothing rack area, not quite far
Yeah.
back to that. Then we walked back and we started to look at the coveralls and looking at that. And we had the camera on that, SLS on that, and he's like, so we're looking at that, and he says, okay, well, why don't you lift the arm up on the long johns? And well, of course, the arm didn't lift up. And then he says, oh, come on, you can do it. And then all of a sudden, a stick figure is inside the long johns.
Wow.
And, it figured that, it grabbed it.
Yeah.
But so we captured the long johns. It could drop a stick figure in it by itself.
Sure.
Because, catch a pole. But he asked us, said, lift up your arm, and it goes.
Nice.
And
Right on command, huh?
He's like, oh my God, for real? And I said, so far, I mean, I asked, he asked, what I thought of the SLS, and I'm,
Yeah.
50-50, 60-40, I'm saying, it's believable. It might get a little bit more believable further on down the road, but
Right.
So far it's neat. I like it. And he enjoyed it.
Did you take it out to the cemetery?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you mapping out the headstones?
We
it?
we mapped out one headstone out there.
Okay.
But the rest of them we were fine. We didn't have any maps other than
Actually had what looked like in front of Dan Terry, he's standing in front of a headstone, and right in front of him, down on the ground, it was mapping a figure on the ground, like laying there.
Really?
And the arms and legs started to kind of move as if it was moving.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't know if that was mapping out like part of the headstone to it, because I turned around and it was hitting a headstone and mapping out a headstone and making it look like a figure. But so I was like, okay, well that's fake.
Well, I only had
So,
one headstone map.
But the fact that it was laying down on the ground in front of him while he's doing the dowsing rods, it was different. It was different.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, we only mapped out again one headstone up there. We didn't have a lot of action out there. Jason ended up out there when we were out there, and he was doing some stuff out there. And well,
Jason Kupsik?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, so I will. Okay, is it Marla?
Mm-hmm.
No. We had one of our guests with us, and I think she was on here earlier. I think, but
Uh-huh.
so we're walking along the road, heading back to our vehicle. It was me and Roth. He'd walked a little bit further in front of me, and I was talking to one of our guests, and we're sitting there walking, trying to find our vehicles. Their vehicles were behind us, actually. Roth and I parked way off in the boondocks. But so we're walking, and so her and I are talking, and I look over, and somebody walks by.
Oh, wow.
I look back, and there's nobody that walked by. It was a gray figure.
Oh, wow.
I thought it was Jason,
Mm-hmm.
but he was actually further on over. So it was a big gentleman. And I told her, she's like, really? I'm like, I just seen him. And I really thought I seen somebody just walk by us, but no, there was nobody there.
Which cemetery was it? Was it the big
new
one? The new one? Okay.
Yeah, the main one.
I figured, but I want
We
to double
don't
check.
ever take anyone out to the old one, just because you got it in my head about snakes and stuff out there.
You realize there's snakes at the other one too, right?
Right, but every time we
Not
go
like
out
that, though.
there, it is 37 or some degrees
Of course.
out there.
It was 75 degrees the day we went out there, and it was 31 degrees.
Yeah,
when we went to
I remember
the
that.
cemetery.
Yep. That big cold front moved through.
Oh my
yeah.
god, it was so cold.
cold.
And it got windy, and I just,
Yeah.
I wasn't too thrilled about it or anything. But, we stayed out there for probably a good 30 minutes, had some stuff, but it was hard to do any actual work out there with the wind like that.
Yeah, and the
It
cemetery
was-
is a little difficult.
Oh yeah,
So-
it always is. Yep. Plus,
Yeah.
you got that highway not too far from there too.
Yeah.
That goes back there, and you get
It
traffic.
was relatively quiet. We didn't have that much of the only feedback we had in the evening, other than the wind, was the couple fuel pumps, oil pumps.
Oh yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Oh, I did a couple bats. They were kind of crazy that night.
Where at?
Cemetery.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they were shooting out of the trees at us. Hey, there's the whole panel. We had
Yep.
a panel that night.
Yeah,
It was fun.
that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. That actually getting a chance to answer questions that the guest had. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah, in the picture you see with the red hat, that's Brandon Callahan, the author, our friend from Kansas City, who wrote the book The Agony That Remains. And then, of course, you got Jeremiah right next to him. The little kid next to him is Jason Roberts of our team, and then of course the very last guy toward the elevator. There's a picture of the elevator behind him, by the way, that we were talking about with Darren Dito. But that's Jason Kupsik. He's out of Kansas City Paracon, and also the Ectoplasm show that Jason and I had the privilege of actually being on recently, which I never put the link up. So
Darn you.
Oops. But
You can still do it, though.
yeah, I will. Yep. But they were all part of the panel that night, discussing things of the paranormal. I mean, that's a vast amount of knowledge right there on that panel. I mean, all the years of the people that, I mean, they've been there doing this for a long time. So I mean, if you missed the opportunity to talk to them, that'd have been a great one. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I mean, that'd have been a great opportunity to hear the stories, the history,
Jason was pretty fun. He was, he kept telling me that he's not one for speaking.
Really?
So he's not one for wanting to get up there and do that. But then I could see that he was kind of like edging to like do it. So they
Right.
they were like, let's do a panel real quick. So they started pulling up chairs. I'm still sitting there in the audience because I'm like ready to listen. I'm smiling like, all right, this is gonna be good. And then they're like, Jason, get your ass up here. It's like, okay. So.
But yeah, like I said, that'd have been fun to see, and like I said, I'm sorry I missed it, but next time.
Family comes first.
I know.
I know. Yeah.
Kupsik did a couple things that was a little disturbing for me, a little turd.
Like what?
We put a couple dolls.
Oh yeah, I heard about
Oh,
those.
fun.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I walked in. I saw his
Is that the puppet?
the puppet, and then Pee Wee Herman.
I saw him. He took him this weekend again on another investigation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I walked in and he had it over on the bed by the pillow. Like as you walk in and you open the door a little bit further, and there it was. It's like, oh god.
No, so I moved that. It
Did
was laying on the middle of the bed, and when you opened the door, it was like looking at you. So
That's funny.
That freaked me out. I'm like, all the ladies went into the room and like, come on, get in there. I'm like, dude, that doll. And so finally I got in there, and then after he and I got comfortable, and we did have an SLS situation in that room with the doll.
What happened with the SLS?
A stick figure climbed up on the bed and then climbed up on the doll.
Was it a small figure? Or was it big? Or?
Yeah, it was rather large, yeah.
Oh, really? Not like a child?
No.
Interesting.
305.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I got you.
And it was molesting the doll. It was strange.
Molesting the doll.
Why?
It looked like it was molesting the doll.
How come the SLS is like catching all the perverted stuff all the time now?
I don't know. And I'm thinking it's probably just it's the stick figure, and there's motions, and it's a presumed thing, but
Well, when we had like the like down in Dodge. No, okay. When we were down in Dodge,
right, yeah,
and poor Jake has like he doesn't even know what to say. I don't think.
That was awesome.
When he's watching the stick figure molesting the women that were standing.
Oh, God, it's funny. I didn't hear about that.
You heard about that?
I did?
didn't?
Molesting what women? The guest?
Yes.
You didn't hear about?
I don't think I ever heard about that.
Oh, okay, so we'll just tell it because we already started. So we were down in the he was down in the basement with his rotation. This is the last time we were in Dodge.
Yep.
What was it? January.
January.
And it's close to like the last rotation almost, I think. And so he had a group full of women, all friends, and they were like, older, and they were having a good time laughing, and they wanted to be in his group because they had some fun with him. Where was that? It was they another location that came, and they I think it was up in Oberlin.
Oh, gotcha.
Was it up in Oberlin?
Yeah,
I think so.
Oberlin.
Yeah.
It was Oberlin.
So they came all the way to Dodge to like hang out, and they wanted Jake to be part of it. So anyway, they're down in the basement, and he's filming, and all of a sudden, a stick figure appears on this woman straddling her head
Seriously.
and was gyrating.
Whoa.
And Jake's just like, and so, you know, when her friends come around, they're viewing it, they're going, oh, look at that. It's too
Could she feel anything on her?
I don't know if she could actually feel it. She might have felt like a tingling or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. That sounds bad and all. But, you know, and then all of her friends were like, oh, I want that to happen to me and stuff like that. Yeah, they were all getting into it and loving it and everything. But Jake just kind of was like,
she got ectoplasm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she got ectoplasm.
It was bad.
That's
It
bad.
was bad.
It was sad. But it was interesting.
But then, you know, and then, you know, we've been on we've used the SLS and some stuff, and then it just seems to be capturing the perverted side of of the spirits and stuff, if it's real. If it's actually capturing what we're thinking it's capturing.
Well, I mean, it's a good possibility just because those cameras are they're infrared, number one.
Yeah.
I know when I had mine for my Xbox, the thing would just turn on. It'd map you, it'd follow you kind of a little bit because you could see it moving up and down. So it would pick up your movements. But I've always noticed because I would see it. It'd be in a large room, and I'd be looking behind me, and it looked like there's always something a little odd. You know, I could never figure out what it was. And now they've been able to manipulate those, or update those to where it actually draws stick figures now, as you guys have seen. And so I feel like what it's mapping could possibly very well be an actual thing or entity that's just capturing in the given moment.
And see, for me, I know how it's supposed to work and what the outcome of it is supposed to be, but being questioned that, in front of the all the guests that are there watching, I didn't know how to explain it. I'm like, it's Xbox Connect, it's like how you play video games, but talking to somebody who obviously does not play video games.
Right.
Darren
asked me about it.
Paul didn't understand it at all.
Structured light sensors, what it says. Yeah, that's what the SLS stands for.
So
it just sees an infrared, and
if it maps something physical,
the software that's on the tablet maps the actual what it's seeing basically.
Yeah.
And pinpoints dots if any of it's something possibly there. But yeah, I mean, whether it's real or not, like you said, I mean, I don't know. We just know that we've had experiences in places, like especially down at the shop, where it's been on the floor, something's been on in front of us, and you. The best evidence we have of that is when we were doing the live 50th episode that day down at the shop, and Jake had his SLS at the time, and he's sitting there pointing at Dave Green, and somebody turns a light on him, if it was Dan or somebody, and you can see at the same time there's nothing there in front of Dave other than Dave, and it's mapping something right in front of him crawling on the ground.
Right here, there was a trash can, and whatever it was sitting on that trash can had its legs crossed.
Yeah.
And swinging its leg.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously nobody's in frame, so I mean people at home saw it, so it's like it gives a little bit of credibility to something possibly being there. Now whether it is or not, we don't know, unless we capture or see movement or whatever,
right,
or hear something. But who knows? It's just one more gadget we use, and you see it all the time on TV, and they have some decent success with them too.
Right.
But I mean, once again,
my spectacles.
Have you got them yet?
No.
Has to build them still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me, 5 to 15 days. It's been
Gotcha.
close.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a little longer than that.
Yeah.
I think at this point, let's take a quick little break.
Check the weather.
Yeah, we got a storm moving in, guys, and I don't know what that's going to do to the show, if we have to cut it short, or if it does anything to just things with the equipment. But we're going to take a break and check out the weather here in just a second, and then kind of get an idea of what's going on, and we'll be back here shortly, guys. So before you guys fall off, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Don't be afraid to call in. You see the number at the top, 316-250-2986. We can go live on air with you and hear your questions, or if you have any questions, like I said, we have the live panel going on the side right now, the live chat. We see your guys' questions. We'll answer them as much as we can. Like I said, don't be afraid to tune in or say something to us. So with that note, we'll be right back, guys.
All right.
See you in a few. All right, guys, we are back from the break. Sorry about that. We were just watching the weather, like I said, trying to get an idea if we were going to continue the show or not. We'll try to do our best. There's a storm moving in the area. I know some people out in western Kansas, like Renee and them, they got hit by a tornado. Not they didn't. The town kind of came close to them. So we just want to make sure everybody's safe and sound. So that's why we're kind of watching things, and we'll continue on as much as we can. So. Yeah, so no, take this time to like, subscribe to the channel, to the page. Whatever you want to hear, talk about, let us know. We're open to anything and everything. We have no problem talking about debating things. We'll talk about everything. We've talked about conspiracy theories in the past. We've talked about, of course, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. We've talked about aliens like we did tonight. We always do the paranormal, of course. But we'll talk about pretty much everything, so don't be afraid.
We'll do about everything, too. If anybody got any experiments you want us to try, you see stuff on your ghost shows that we watch as well. You want us to try something paranormal wise?
Yep.
Any type of experiment? Let us know. We'll do it.
We'll do the Gansfield here live on air one of these nights.
Yeah, we need to.
Just
Yeah,
kind of a
absolutely.
thing, and then we'll also do some other things too at the same time. Just give you a different in-depth look at things. But when we do it, we'll make sure we go to definitely a haunted location. That way we can have interaction with things.
I think we need to start at our events, start doing some of these experiments.
of course.
And having the guests, if they're willing to doing it with them, allowing them to experiment with that.
Just gotta be careful. That way nothing happens
Right.
wrong or bad, because they can come back and try to say you've ruined my life or whatever. I'm just saying, it's
But I
a
can
liability.
say that this is what you came there for to do.
Yep. To get their
you
life
wanted
ruined.
to come and see, experience the paranormal. So, but
Well, yeah. Actually, thinking about that Gansfield experiment, Jason was talking about, or Jason, Brandon Callahan was talking about. That's the new project that he's actually working on. Is more of a, time travel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, astral projection kind of thing, which is kind of neat. So
yeah,
Yep.
it's not bad. I mean, I don't know. I gotta see it to believe it, or
Right,
maybe
exactly.
experience
What's that?
it myself.
Time travel?
I never even got to do the Gansfield
Gansfield.
experiment. I never. I watched you. It
Yep.
was fascinating to watch you do that and everything like that. So it was I don't know. I want to do more experiments. I do. But we're just usually so busy doing everything else we're doing. We are going to be going in August to the Kansas City Paracon. I've been invited to speak. We're going to have a booth there as well. Very excited. It's going to be our first time actually ever going to present and
Present in that manner.
have a booth.
Yep. It's the first time we're going to present in that manner at
Yeah.
that place. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, first time presenting there at the Kansas City Paracon, which is Jason K. I always say K.
Koopsick.
Koopsick. Sorry, Jason. But yeah, he's invited us out to come. We're going to be the panel that we're going to be talking about is cryptics and all the cryptozoology creatures that are out there. That I don't know. It's fascinating. I love it. I love that kind of aspect. It's getting away from ghosts and spirits and all that stuff, and trying to. The fact that I've actually been out in the field to do it, Leo's been out there in the field, and we've ran into this kind of thing. But
Right.
the more that we talk to people, there's sightings of different creatures all over this. Not just the world, but here in our own backyard. There's we had a caller that called in, had not far, just outside of Hutchinson and Inman. That the caller had that creature he saw late at night.
Yep.
Remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was he described it like a wolf-like creature, possibly, or gray, white, kind of
It was
some kind of cryptid.
Yeah.
Something no, it wasn't bipedal. It was because it was on fours, wasn't it?
It was
Possibly.
on fours at one point, but its knees were completely backwards, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
like bending in a certain way, and it jumped from the road off into the woods. He said.
Yeah.
Basically over the highway.
And it was white, pale in color. I don't know.
Yep.
We were talking about at the in Wilson at our festival. We were talking about some of the things that we believe or not believe, and Jeremiah started talking about what a tulpa was, which is basically the idea of believing something so much, everybody starting to believe one story and how it changes over time,
Right.
to a point where it becomes a myth and a legend and everyone believes it even though it was just a fake story to begin with.
Right.
And that's what they like the rake. Have you heard about that?
The what is it?
The rake? Have
Is
you seen
it-
that? I know you've probably seen the photograph of it. I should have seen
You're fine.
sent that to you and everything, but the rake was captured on camera. A group of people out camping and stuff like that, and just taking a photograph, and they didn't see it at the time, but in the photograph, you see this like weird creature that has shoulders. It kind of like the thing in the rafters. Has shoulders, has arms, very muscular. It's white in color. Has a head just like you and I do, and it's just like a monster, and it's just creeping down on all fours, crawling closer to them, and they don't notice it at all. But there is a deer that was not far from it too. It's almost like it was hunting the deer.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
You seen
Yeah,
that?
I did see the
I
video.
know.
Yeah.
It's been floating around the internet
Yeah.
for a while, but a lot of people say it's a fake story that was just put out there, and now everybody's believing it, and it's like the Thin Man or
Slender Man.
Slender Man.
Slender Man, yeah.
Enough people believe in it. Is it real? Is it not real? Now it's become part of like our culture now. So, what about these creatures? It's like, so is the thing out there by Hutch or Inman? Was that just imagination, or was that something that he actually saw?
Right. Well, I mean, they have a lot of Bigfoot sightings out there, so I mean, whether this one here doesn't sound Bigfootish at all.
He said it was white in color, but at the same time, that has been seen in Kansas, a white Bigfoot.
Right.
That was seen down by off the turnpike down by the south
Down South Haven area.
South Haven exit.
Yeah,
right
South
there.
Haven exit,
Yeah,
yep.
so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
saw
that
what
was-
they say, a juvenile,
Yeah,
possibly.
it was a juvenile. It was
Juvenile
probably
cryptid.
my size or shorter, and it was going along the fence line. And when the guy got out of the car to check on his tire and everything, he walked around the corner of his car and looked over at the field and by the fence. He thought it was just a trash bag at first, just something white over there.
Mm-hmm.
But then it turned around and looked at him, and he sees a creature on two legs backing up on the fence, holding onto the fence with hands,
Right.
and the look of shock on the face. He runs, and the creature runs, and he's yelling to, because he was using walkies to keep track so that his friends and them, because they were following him, and they were coming up behind, and he was yelling Yeti. There's a Yeti out here, because that's just what everybody thinks. A white Bigfoot
I mean, if
Yeti.
it's a short juvenile, I may not went after that. Yeah, at least try to go after it. But
He
I mean,
said- yeah,
Bigfoot or not, I'm going to go after it. I mean, if he's going to kick my ass, I'm going to kick my ass.
Oh, yeah.
You got to know. Maybe I'll get a handful of hair.
That's what I keep
Somebody's
saying.
Or get your ass handed to you.
maybe that's what I will do. It's like if I see the creature, that's how I always thought. I'm gonna run after it, and I'm gonna grab its leg, and I'm just gonna hang on.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
If it knocks me to the ground, maybe I'll grab some hair and I can prove it.
Maybe to beam me up with the ship with him, too, and we can close all these cases in about 10 minutes.
Well, and
So he went down that direction.
Well, you've heard the story that Brendan and I talked about and Renee that night, and you guys were down. You were at the hotel out in Tahlequah, and everybody else was at the cemetery. The thing we saw, remember? The possible Bigfoot, whatever, the Sasquatch we saw, remember, crouched down in the bushes.
Oh, I know that story. by
well, no.
heart.
I know, I'm just saying, but you say you want to run after it and jump on it and whatever
I know.
else. In the moment, it was pretty damn freaky.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
it's just because it was just Renee, myself, and Brendan in
Yeah.
an RV, and the dogs were going ape shit. No pun
trust me.
intended. But
Trust me, I would be freaking out probably, and I was just
Yeah.
as nervous when I showed up,
yeah,
and you guys were nervous,
right.
about what was going on, and everything seemed really intense.
Remember, I brought a machete with me that weekend,
Yeah.
and this is the
Yeah.
third out of fourth day we were there,
Yeah.
and that night and that was the only time I pulled that machete out, was that time, because I'm like, if I'm going down in a fight, because I had nothing else. I didn't know what to do. I mean, but
Right.
I was real apprehensive getting out of the vehicle and going down there to try to find this thing, but
Well, and as Brendan even said himself, when he jumped out of the RV, he taking a camera, doing anything like
No.
that was not even a thought in his head.
right.
Right.
Well, and
so-
going back to that night, you should have thought Renee was genuinely freaked out, and she'll tell
Right.
you that, but
Right.
her demeanor changed quick, but even Brendan in the RV himself, he was looking, and he just kind of got quiet, and then just made eye contact with this thing out there, and he's like, what is that? And, kind of how Brendan is, real quiet, but it just changed the mood instantly. And like I said, the dogs alerted us, so that's what got my attention. I was just like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
And I was like, I mean, we had the keys to the RV, but I'm not going to try driving that big bastard out of that, area. But it was crazy. I mean, it was freaky. So, like I said, yeah, I don't know now, if we were in a big group of people, maybe go after all of us, we'd probably chase it down. But
Yeah.
just in the moment with three of us, I was just like, shoot, what are we getting ourselves into?
Next time on the show, I'll send you the pictures. It was Brendan reenacting
Yeah.
what he saw, and then
Right.
I found a drawing that kind of resembles what he saw too.
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it's freaky. And, this is the third or fourth time we'd been out there, so I knew from day one what we experienced with the possible Sasquatch, and the fact that we're physically seeing
But
one.
it was the figures that we were seeing too, because I saw that figure come around the house.
Mm-hmm.
The night before?
Yeah.
It was the night before, or even that night.
Can't remember. It was one of those.
Before
It might have been the night
before we
before.
called it before we called it a night. But I saw a black figure come around the corner of the house and walking, and Roth and I think the first night or second night out there, looking toward the road, I swear I was seeing what looked like a white looking figure that was kind of moving about on the road, coming our way, and everything. But it was walking bipedal.
Yeah.
And everything crossed the road and kind of came along the tree line,
Right.
and it was crazy because he saw it, I saw it. I don't know. It was
Well, and it's like I said, it's just the fact that our first trip down there, we saw the big gigantic footprints that obviously aren't man-made. They could be, but this thing would be out there with a broken toe, walking around out there. We saw all those
Yeah.
structures out there. We saw just the noises we heard, the growls, the wood knocks, the rock throwing, to the actual howls. I mean, it was bizarre.
See, now, given what you've seen already
Yeah.
with that,
Right.
over the weekend at the event
Mm-hmm.
that we had, there's people there that were talking about how they don't believe that it was a structure, that they're the whole interdimensional.
From the stories that Callahan you guys were telling?
Yeah, Callahan.
Okay.
Callahan, but also some guests. They.
No, I'm saying about the structures. Go ahead. Who said they didn't believe in the structures? Callahan did?
So hold on.
Okay, sorry.
Let me tell them.
No, tell me who it is. I'll go find them, kick their ass.
No, so
I'm kidding. I'm
Callahan admitted that he's not one to believing that Sasquatch is, because he's not into searching for it or anything.
Right.
He has seen what he has seen,
Of course.
and he talked about the creature that developed in the cemetery.
The shapeshifter, right?
Yeah, that just still boggles my mind hearing about it. And but he was talking about how he doesn't believe that Sasquatch is a creature that is nesting out there with structures and
Right.
stuff like that. Doesn't believe that it's out there doing that. It's more on that interdimensional.
So this is when we need Brendan Brannon here, because it drives him nuts when people say that.
Smiled about that too.
But I always bring that. I don't necessarily believe that same angle, but I've entertained the idea because of why is this thing so elusive, and why is it always you always see it on the walls of the ancient hieroglyphics.
Right.
This thing in the sky with the light, and then you see a hairy bipedal creature walking upright, bigger than most of the other people that they draw, whatever.
Right.
And this is going on for thousands of years before us.
Did you see any lights in the sky that night?
Well, I saw what I saw. Remember, in the bushes that I thought were the
They're strange lights, yeah.
I saw these glowing lights that, well, we saw
You thought was me putting up stuff.
and we also saw at the cemetery. We saw the red, the green, the
yeah,
white,
yeah.
we call them ghost lights. And when we did the ectoplasm show, I need to put that audio up for you guys, the link and stuff. One of the guys on the show, Josh Hurd, had the same exact experience. Not too far from there, but he was down in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And we were, in Oklahoma, of course, and he had the exact same. I mean, hearing his story, and I'm just sitting there going, "Man, that's exactly what we experienced. That's exactly what we had." And then I told them our story, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's the exact same story, right. 2 different locations, hundreds of miles away from each other." And but yeah, I saw those ghost lights. Well, we have the captured on video. Those ghost lights. They're on the. If you go to the YouTube page for Everyday Legacy Paranormal, I put a short little video together for Tahlequah and the cemetery and the ghost lights. And this thing comes darting past me. Whatever. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's night. It's night vision. The thing is, we're filming in full spectrum, which is always does that purple hue kind of a color. But the lights that actually show up on the screen are red and green.
Right.
I try to debunk them, thinking, oh, maybe they're just fireflies, or lightning bugs. Excuse me, not fireflies, lightning bugs. But we didn't see any out there of that at all. I mean, so there was not as if it just all of a sudden magically appeared.
Yeah.
The fact is, I talk about it to people when we tell the stories. They're not stories. When we talk about it, our experiences out there, on camera, on video, on audio, whatever, we're talking about these ghost lights. I remember this made me laugh in the moment. I point and go, there, I see them, they're over there, and I'm pointing this one direction. And then I think it was Jeremiah right next to me goes, oh, I saw it too, and he's pointing the opposite direction. And then Paul's behind us, it's over here, and we're pointing in like 10 different directions, and we're all seeing these lights. But it's not like the same light. I mean, they're different colors. I would say, oh, I saw a red light, and they're like, oh yeah, I saw it, it's green, and it's just multiple different color lights happening. Which that's the same time when Brendan had the incident.
Yeah.
Where his first and only time of going to the cemetery, he saw a white mist figure, and Brendan is 6'6", I think.
Yeah.
He's a tall dude.
He said it was very small and on the ground.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, the guy is pretty. He doesn't get rattled easy.
No, he doesn't.
He's the biggest skeptic I've ever met, which I love, because when we have an experience, and he sees something firsthand, he's like, man, I can't explain it. I mean, I know his take on things most time. Most time he's going to shoot things down, which is great. Mm-hmm. But what he saw that night, and I saw him, for lack of a better term, he was white as a ghost. I mean, he was rattled. He was spooked. He was nauseous. He felt ill.
Got sick.
Yeah, he felt ill. I mean, he was just. I've never seen him so disheveled, and that was Brendan that night. And he wouldn't take a step in the cemetery after that. He wouldn't even go near it. He would say, "I'm gonna stay out here." And I'm like, "Are you okay, man?" He's like, I'm gonna be out here. I don't want to be in there anymore." And this has all happened at the same time in this cemetery down there, and the ghost lights are happening, and just the shadows, the figures, the noises, the voices. This is, and you can read it in the book. Well, I don't remember if that part's in the book or not. I have to remember. It's been a while since I read the Agony That Remains for Brandon Callahan's book that we were all in. I just remember this is my first ever visit down there years ago when we first started going there, and something called my name out. I've never been to that part of Oklahoma ever, and I always have my recorder going, and something says, "Hey, Leo." Well, I've listened to it over and over, and I've even cleaned it up a little bit over the years, just trying to change the sound a little bit to see what it says. I'm pretty sure it's not saying "Hey, Leo" anymore. I'm pretty sure it says "Hate Leo" or "Get Leo" or something like that. It's hate, and same thing with Callahan audio. When I was listening, I told him, I said, "Hey," when the first time I ever met him, I was like, "Does this thing call your name out by chance?" And he looked at me surprised, like, "Well, why do you ask that?" This is when we're walking down to the caves.
Right.
And I go, and I felt really weird saying this to him because it's the first time I ever talked to the guy ever. And I'm like, well, I just heard something say your name. Like, hey, Brandon, or, something. And he's like, oh, and kind of smirked in a little bit. He's like, yeah, that happens. Well, I went back to that audio, and I'm pretty sure it's not saying "Hey, Brandon" anymore. I think it's saying "Hate, Brandon." And it's weird. It's bizarre. And I'm like, all these years I thought it was being friendly to us, but I think it's not being friendly to us. I think it's telling you, I hate you guys. How dare you come to my land?
Right.
Which
Yeah.
then you ask yourself the questions: why do we go fall ill ourselves? Brandon from Bigfoot in Kansas, he gets sick, falls ill. Hell, I've talked about it before many times. I come back, I'm going blind in one eye or my eyes or whatever. I got keratoconus. Brandon Callahan, you mentioned earlier, down in Wilson, he's still walking with a cane. He's had 4 hip surgeries. Is it 4, I think?
3.
3 or 4, yeah. So
3.
this land is, consuming us, and it's letting us know, hey, I don't like you guys. The brothers themselves are, one of them has, he's in hospice.
He's well, and he even said that he's not in communication with them anymore, unfortunately.
Which one?
All of them.
Brandon Callahan's not?
Callahan's not in contact with any of them anymore.
For why?
Just for purposes of he says it's never going to happen again for any of us going out there.
That's what he says. He's told me that too, yeah.
But he's not even for sure if one of the brothers, the one that was in hospice, if he's even alive anymore.
Yeah, that'd be Gerald.
So
yeah, I don't know.
So
I
he's
wonder.
not even sure.
Yeah.
So he may be gone by now.
Yeah,
So,
I was curious.
yeah.
But it's just the fact that so much bad things have happened since coming back from that place. And then, well, the second time we went out there, we had the infamous cord cutting incident where nothing was there, nothing was rattled, nothing's on camera. And like I said, we'll do a whole Tahlequah episode here pretty dang quick because I want to get Callahan on the show and he'll tell. I mean, like I said, some of the stuff he's never heard and seen, and vice versa. Just the whole the incident when the cord gets cut. I watched it again. It's on my phone right now. I could show it up right now, but we'll wait till the actual episode. But it's bizarre because this thing's cutting our cord, and there's nothing on camera cutting our cord, and it makes no sense. We had the recorders out there that night. You couldn't hear a thing walk up until we came up. I mean, it makes no sense of what cut the cord. We'll play pictures of it. I have pictures on my phone that night when it happened. I mean, we were all, once again, genuinely terrified of something that we can't see, manipulating our cameras, cutting our cords,
And
not taking the cameras.
And the other camera started to
Yeah.
move,
Wiggling
down
out
in the trail area.
out in the trail, out in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere in the woods. This thing's getting manipulated, and it's just the place is phenomenal. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to read that book, you got to read the book. It's so mind blowing that all the reviews I laugh at because the first thing they say is, "This is a bunch of crap. This is so much fake fiction, whatever. If it's true, why isn't it on TV?" Well, it's been on TV with when Brandon did that one show with the Ley Lines show, the Unexplained, not the one with Darren Dito, but a different one called The Unexplained or something like that.
Which I don't think is on anymore.
It's not, but it's been on TV, not the full story. I know Callahan was working on a documentary in the early stages of us going down there and whatnot, but he turned it into the book instead, so who knows if he'll revisit it or not. I would love to see all the footage because I haven't seen the footage he hasn't seen the footage I have, and vice versa. But the story is just phenomenal. When I went down, like I've told this a million times, I left with more questions than I did answers. And I'll be honest, it's one of the only places I've ever been terrified of. I mean, physically on a location, from the minute we stepped out of the vehicle to the minute we left, I couldn't get out of there fast enough. It was just bizarre. And it was, you always felt like you were being watched. You would hear things, you would see things, just shadows everywhere. You would get, just unexplained noises, howls, the growls. The thing coming through our camp that night, pushing on our tents. Just bizarre stuff.
Pushing on your tent.
Well,
I have no idea what it did
it went
to
all.
ours.
You were asleep. Yeah, you had the big family tent with Brendan, excuse me. And then I had my own tent, my one-man tent with me, and yeah, it was freaky. But we had a couple questions come through. First of all, for Dustin, the book is called The Agony That Remains. If you go to any of our websites, like Everyday Legacy Paranormal, there's a link to purchase it there. We don't get any money from it. It's just the fact that we actually got to live the actual story. We gave our versions of the story of our incidences that happened down in Tahlequah. I noticed a couple like Lena. Thank you very much, Lena. She's posting it on her pages as of late. She's putting the links out there too. So definitely go check out the book. It's an entertaining read.
And it's on a hell of a sale right now. We were down at Wilson last weekend. Brandon pulled it up, and it's like $6.
Yeah, so
buy it up right now.
it's a thick book too. It's a nice. I wish Jason had it. Usually he carries his with him, but he doesn't have with him.
Actually, it's out in the car right now.
Oh, okay.
I got it autographed over the weekend.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah. So, but no, we had a couple of questions. Let's see here.
I
Sorry.
made him do it.
Yeah, good call.
One of them was having to do with Bigfoot. It said, "What do you guys think about the theory about Bigfoots and portals?" And you kind of start to talk about it with the interdimension kind of a thing.
I don't know. You know,
And you don't have to take a stance on it. Like I believe it's this. Just think, what are your thoughts on exactly that
I
notion?
believe that it is a physical creature. I don't think it's time jumping or going through portals. I honestly don't believe that.
Mhm.
Being out there in the field and actually being in the woods, I know there's hunters out there that says, you know, well, I've been in the woods all my life and I've never seen anything. Well, you weren't looking for it either. You weren't looking for the signs or the trails or
Right.
anything like that. You weren't going into certain areas that are like, you know, because you can't go hunting in national parks. You can't go hunting,
Right.
in, you know, in certain locations, and you're not on people's properties. You're not going on the. It's elusive just for the fact you don't know what's there watching you, or you know, we
Yeah.
don't know what is making the creature actually doing what it's doing. Most of the researchers out there actually believe that it's just traveling the river systems, coming up when it can to get food or whatever. But
Well,
it's-
it explains that people ask, well, why don't you ever see the carcass of this thing and whatever? It's the same reason you don't see deer out there. You don't see elk. You don't see this, rabbits, you
bear,
name it.
when do you go out to the
Yeah.
woods and find a bear just laying there?
Yeah,
You
I
don't.
mean,
Well, you
it's
find
because,
skulls every once in a while.
yeah, you do.
Good, but
but I'm saying the reason you don't probably see these animals because it's nature. If this thing dies out there, you got all kinds of animals probably trying to feed off the body, whatever. Of course, there's the whole theory of Bigfoots tend to take their own bodies with them.
Well,
Their families
and there
or
is-
whoever take their families.
there is a story of and I read the story. It happened down in Texas. I don't know what town or where out, but a lot of his crops was being eaten by deer and all that stuff. But he also one night, and he was picking them off
Right.
from his porch and everything. But he also saw the creatures out there too,
Right.
and they were coming out and stealing the deer carcasses and stuff
Right.
like that. So he opened fired on them, shot one of them. It dropped. By the time him and his sons got out there to actually check out the body, because he saw it running on two legs, and he
Yeah.
shot it. It was on his property, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, shooting it without asking questions, you know.
Right.
You're shooting a bipedal creature. Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be the thing I would do, but it's worth
Right.
killing. But by the time he got out there, he could see the drag marks that the other one had dragged off the body.
Sure. Right.
You know, I mean, why not? You know, it's like, you know, we say the same thing, you know, no one left behind. Well,
Right.
That's just family,
Yep.
our family and their family. It's the same thing.
Yep. Well, and they're thought to be nomadic creatures. You're gonna follow typical. I mean, they go where the fresh water is. They follow rivers. They follow creeks. They follow all that stuff. They go where the food sources is. Food sources are. Excuse me. They go to, you know. That's why you see them a lot by farms. You see them by out.
Yeah.
You know, hunting deer or whatever. They're looking for food, just like everybody else. Fish, food, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the thinking, anyways.
Curiosity and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And like I said, how often do you see bears? I mean, unless you go out and wander off the beaten path, you're going to probably run into them a lot more often.
Occasionally, you see the videos of bears coming into town,
At the-
and jumping in people's pools and
At
stuff
the- what do you
like
call it?
that. But you know, there's stories of people walking down the streets and they think they see a bear over there dumpster diving, and then it stands up and it's on two legs and it's like climbing out like a person. And it's still standing there like a person, you know. You can tell the difference between a human figure to a bear standing there.
Right.
You know, a bear waddles and stuff. These creatures are not waddling; they're taking two steps just like us.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I know I kind of got off track there, but I just don't see where the whole portal thing is coming from. Now, I did talk to some people who, there at the festival, that fully believe that it's all connected, that they're like either aliens or something and they're being sent down here. But it doesn't make sense to send I mean, I don't know, it could be possible, but not every sighting of Bigfoot comes with a UFO sighting.
Right.
Not every time.
Of course not.
And it's just, that's like rare and in between that people are noticing possible connections. But it doesn't happen every time, you know.
Just happened to be that something we experienced in a place
You
where
experienced.
no,
I
no, no,
didn't.
no. I'm saying that was one of the claims down when we first started going down there. Before we even got there, was there's evidence of possible paranormal to shape-shifting things associated with Native American things or people, which I understand, but there's also possibility of Sasquatch to Bigfoot, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
UFOs with these little lights that come up to the front property and they see them shoot off, to even so-called little fairies or witches, they call them. They call them little witches, little people flying off, coming to the window, scratching on the window,
Yeah.
shooting off in the up in the air. And I laughed it off when I first heard about that. I'm like, come on,
I know.
I believe in paranormal because at the time that's what we practiced. We were doing it so often. But these other stories, come on. But then we went down there and I saw so much crap that it tied in with a lot of those stories. We had some experience that's similar that I could, well, I mean, you want to say, okay, what about the little fairies, little witches? Okay, what about them? We went down to the caves down the side of this mountain in the Ozarks, and we're asking questions to, just out like we normally do. And Jason and all them guys are climbing up in the cave. This is at night, middle of the night. Jason and them are up in the caves, climbing up there, and it's Jan and myself out by the creek, the river. And we're hearing some movement and stuff, so we start asking questions randomly, and we asked the thing, are you really little people, or are you just pretending to be, kind of a thing. And on my recorder, and I'll play it one of these days, you hear 3 or 4 voices interlaced together, overlapping each other, going, I don't know, sarcastically, and they sound like little people, little children out in the middle of this forest, and it's just like, what in the hell is that? And Jan and I hear it with our ears. We're like, did you just hear that? We heard it, we couldn't tell what it was saying. Wow. It was the same voices I heard when I asked about the Hate Brandon walking down the, it sounded exactly like that, like it's in the wind kind of a thing, and you can hear these, because there's nobody out there, except for the ticks, and maybe Bigfoot, but I'm just saying, this is in the middle of a mountain, we're walking down to go to these caves, and we had to cross this, to get across to the river, we had to cross these tree branches, we had to climb this big log to get across, and there's nobody out there. Other than, there is bears out there now because we found out this very last time. Oh, they saw some bears out there right above the caves where you guys always go down to. I'm like, great. That's what I want to hear is bears.
Yeah.
But
That would be rough to climb down in there. Hey, dude.
Yeah. So go figure. But no, like I said, just going down there and experience what we saw. Like I said, I left with more questions than I did answers.
Right.
And I always thought it was weird because some of the stuff we experienced, like I said, the Bigfoot possibly sounds or whatever, the footprints. Now, when I say structures, and you talked about Callahan, not saying that there's nothing, as far as that goes. He didn't go where we were at though. He stayed up towards the property, and I'm not trashing Callahan. I love Callahan. He's one of my good friends. I'm just saying, we saw this the next day. We didn't see it the first night. He was gone.
And honestly, never have seen those structures.
I haven't seen them again. The thing is, what I always talk about is, it's kind of the hill, it kind of angles down a little bit towards the property. So you got this kind of a plane. And I noticed the structure over here, and then I noticed the structure down over here, and then over here, and over here. Like, they're getting closer to the property, watching. Mm-hmm. And these structures are actual trees that have been put together in like half, what do you call it? Like, if anybody's been to the Cotillion here in Wichita, the stage, the big thing behind them?
Yeah.
What's it called? A fanchon or whatever it's called? I don't know what it's called. It looks like that. They're like half moons, and they're on these, next to these trees, and they're all put together by somebody. I don't know if that was thunder or if that was upstairs or somebody dropped something.
Yeah, they just dropped it.
I'm sorry. But there's these structures going on. And then what even got Brendan and I to even go out there in the first place is we saw this big gigantic footprint that he took a picture of on his camera. Then we happened to just look up and we see these long line of trees in a forest with all these peculiar bends. And it's like a bend here, a couple feet from there, a bend there, a couple feet, bend there, and it's like they put a path. They created their own path by these big tree branches, pulling them down, so they know where to walk through. So Brendan and I go out in the actual woods, and we walk out there and follow this path, and that's where we found the first structure, and that's where we found the next structure, and so on and so on.
Wow.
It's not your typical, okay, a tree, has a bend to it. It's something physically manipulated this bend, and it looked like a highway or something, like a walk path, or some sort. Then we look over, and that's when we saw a couple different things. We saw up in the trees, up in the tree, high up, something tall, scratching, like were claw marks on the trees. Now, like I said, once again, Brendan is 6'6". He couldn't reach up, touch to the actual things. It was up in the air, probably a good 8 to 10 feet in that area. Well, then I look up in the trees and I see these structures, and I make a joke. I'm like, that looks like the Blair Witch. The little figures.
Crush, yeah.
Well, that's something that him and I have found going out
Exactly.
into the field, is actually seeing all these telltale signs that the researchers who have been doing this for 20, 30 years
Right.
are seeing that these creatures are leaving stacks of rocks. They're
Right.
leaving bins, and they'll you'll be walking along, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing like that telltale sign of a trail that is right there.
Yeah.
Branches that are broken off way up high and totally cleared
Right.
out so they can walk through.
It's like a communication of like, okay, this is my, because you got the big path that we always walk through that splits the forest, but these were off to the sides, and we just happened to look over because we saw that footprint, and then we decided to just follow it. And like I said, I'm not an outdoorsy person by any means, but I'm like, oh hell, I'm curious to see where this takes us. And that's when we came across all those structures, and it didn't make any kind of sense other than who the hell is putting them out there and why.
Right.
And then that night happened with the experiences that we had with the rock throwing, the growls, the audible. Well, it sounded like Bigfoot's answering each other that Jason and Brendan and myself heard.
Yeah.
And my reaction is, what the F was that? The F-bomb. Because it was loud, and the recordings we caught doesn't do it justice, unfortunately, because we heard it loud in our ears. It was like, but it was out in the woods, and it was freaky as hell. But
and the fact that I've been out with Brendan and my dad in certain areas in Kansas here, and we've actually heard all the similar sounds and stuff like that. We have gone and found the tree structures. We've seen like the actual crossing, and stuff like that. The bins of trees that doesn't make any sense of why this tree is like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't make it's bizarre when you stumble across this stuff. You're like, what am I looking at? Because it doesn't seem real. It looks man-made, but it's why? Why would it be?
Right.
Why? It's possible. But then where's the evidence? The thing that really baffled me, and this is going to sound gross, is I didn't see any evidence of scat.
No, you didn't.
Nowhere. Which
I didn't see any.
we're talking about poop, obviously, for people who don't know. It's
maybe they bury it.
They dig a hole like you're supposed to when you go camping and bury it in the hole.
They stack rocks.
They do stack rocks.
Stacking on top.
Yeah, that's possible. I didn't go. I wasn't actively looking on the ground trying to find it, but in the areas we saw things, we didn't see anything.
Are you saying the stack of rocks is a telltale sign for each other out there? Don't step here. This is where I went.
That's why you mark your territory. Which we did see a couple of the rock structures like that out there. It looked like I don't know what it looked like. Some kind of ceremonial thing. Where these little rock piles and stuff out there. I have no idea. Like I said. And the thing, like I told Jason, the whole thing weirded me out. Like I said, because the next day I went out by myself. I don't know why to use the restroom, if you must know. And I'm out there just asking random questions, and I'm laughing to myself.
He talks to himself all the time.
Well, I have my recorder going, obviously, and I'm like, I do talk to myself too, of course. But I'm asking random questions. What's in this woods? And something comes across everything, and it's not me. There's nobody out there, because once you get off the beaten path, there's no sound of life from our camp or anything, and everybody was sleeping anyways. But then I get this woman's voice next to me, and there was no women out there with me in the woods. Trust me. And it sounds like a native tongue or something, like a Native American tongue. I don't know what it is, but she's saying something to me. And then I'm laughing to myself because I think this is stupid. What am I doing talking to myself out here? And just I'm questioning things. I'm like, are you, I asked the question out loud, are you really a Sasquatch or, whatever, just some kind of random question. I even kind of chuckled to myself. On my recorder, you hear something come through, and it's like it's pissed off at me for even asking. He goes, I am a, and I can't understand what it says after that. And like it challenge, like how dare you challenge what I am? And I'm just like,
Right.
what the hell? What the hell am I hearing? It's bizarre. But what I was talking about is I told Jason about all that stuff, and Jason's known about it for years. That happened, 2011, I think it was. We went out there.
About that.
Well, then, and a year ago, I saw this show on TV. I can't remember if it was Mountain Monsters.
Yeah.
Is that what I told you about?
Yeah.
And a lot of that's probably scripted, and it's out in West Virginia and all that stuff. But everything that that I experienced, they put in, and it wasn't just one episode. It was a lot of episodes. It's like a whole season towards the ending, a big culmination of things, a finale kind of a thing, and it floored me. It weirded me out because everything they were showing is what I experienced to a degree. I mean, they had a woman in the woods. They had a big hairy creature with Bigfoot. It turned into a paranormal thing, and it just was a freaky episode. And I'm like, what? And I was sitting there, and my wife was sitting next to me watching it, and she just looked at me like, because she could tell I was getting uncomfortable. And I'm like, it took me back to that moment. And it was just like, holy shit, what is happening? This is like, is this a real thing? Or is this fake? I mean, how could they experience the same shit we had? Or I had, personally. I have documentation on. Audio, video, you name it. I don't know, man. So if Bigfoot's real or not, we've had enough experiences over the years with it that I'm beginning to question things. So, but the fact for a portal, though, I don't know. I've entertained that many times.
So why does everybody think that there's a portal everywhere? I mean, now we got a show where there's going to be talking about portals.
Oh yeah.
And
but that's portals from hell.
There's like 4 portals in this house. Really?
Yes.
But why? Why is this such a thing now where everyone's just talking about portals? Oh, it's bringing this in, it's bringing that in. Prove it. I have yet for anybody to show me, prove me. What are you looking at that's a portal?
I've never really dealt with portals per se. I mean, as far as on our investigation, except for the one place we went.
Eldridge.
You didn't get to go.
Well, what about the Eldridge? The Eldridge, remember that our room was supposedly there in the corner?
That's right. That's right. And it did have high EMF. It had a little bit of unexplained things.
And Roth got kicked because he opened his mouth too much.
Not because of the portal, though. But No, and that one I didn't feel. I mean, it is what it is. It didn't feel like the one I experienced here in Wichita by WSU at that house. We called it what do we call it? Oh, damn it. It was the... I can't think what it's called, but anyways, it was myself, Jeremiah, and another person that's not on the team anymore. We went to this location because this lady was talking about seeing these weird little things. With the possession, with her, she thought her husband. We called it the voodoo house, so we called it, because her husband was putting curses on her, and just weird things happening. That's the only place I've ever seen what I will describe as ectoplasm. The walls, and we talked about it on the previous, when we were doing our greatest hits, we talked about it that day with touching the walls and this gel-like substance. It looked like the wall was wet. You touch it and it was in the basement, but it was gelatin, and it was bizarre, and it was like it dripping down the walls. Only on one wall.
Kind of in the Amityville horror type style.
You might as well be. I mean, It was. If that's my take, I think it's ectoplasm. It may not have been, but it's not condensation. It wasn't wet dripping or nothing like that. It was actually real, like I said, a gelatin structure that I almost wish we didn't touch it, because after that, it's like, who knows what happened, because I've heard horror stories about people playing with that stuff or touching it, and then they have bad things go on in their lives. But going back to the portal thing, there was this one corner in the room. And you go in there, and it's between her kitchen and her living room, and you could just feel the vibrations off of this area. You could feel. I mean, it felt nauseous. I mean, the EMF was ridiculous in this corner, and I was like, "Man, Jeremiah, look at this!" I pointed to it, and he's like, "Wow!" And the lady, without missing a beat, goes, "That's where they come from." She's like, "That's where it resonates from, is that area." It's like, "Oh yeah, that's a common thing." So if that's what a portal is, I mean, it was bizarre. I never really. I mean, I know there's some place that things come from like that. I've never experienced a portal. I would love to go to the Queen Mary. Queen Mary supposedly has one by the showers down in the by the swim room, and that's supposedly a strong portal. I want to compare the two.
But I want to know what people are seeing that they're calling it a portal. Like, what are they do? What are they experiencing? That's because I'm picturing like an actual like doorway or some kind of glowing space, and they're just walking through like some sci-fi show or something.
I picture it kind of like that, or even so like a what do you call it? Like a vortex, kind of a spinning thing where you can just step in and step out. And like I said, that's what we felt in this corner. It was bizarre. It was real heavy, and it was just like electric. You could put your hand in it, and it was like holy it was intense. It was really intense. You get close to it, and you felt nauseous.
I just don't believe that like Sasquatch could be passing, in and out of all these, all over. Because, then you would think that it's just like one creature.
Why one creature?
No, I mean, that's where a lot of people could come up with the idea that it's just one creature.
Like only one Sasquatch ever?
There's so many people who think that it's true.
No.
And it's not. They're like, well, what about, they think that the thing caught in 1967 by Patterson, on film, they think that is like the one and only creature that's out.
No.
I'm like, no, don't be stupid.
Because why would you have people describe them as reddish hair, white hair, to blonde, to whatever?
From children,
tall, small, female, male, you name it. I mean, just different experiences.
But people don't think about it, and then they just immediately start talking about, it's portals or it's passing in and out. That's why it's there 1 second. Well, it's there 1 second and gone the next because you're not chasing after it. You're just standing there either watching it and going, oh my God, what did I just see? Or you're filming it with the shaky camera, and going, oh my God, did you see that?
Yep.
But you're not chasing after it. You're not running toward it and thinking, what if it's just moving further away from you? Because that could be just like the night down in Oklahoma. I swear to God, because when Brenda came out and you came out and all of a sudden you heard the commotion behind the house, Brendan said that he turned around to kind of run toward that, and he's like, there's two of them. One making commotion so the other one can get away.
Right, distraction.
And then when I got there, a few minutes later, 20 minutes later or so, I went out there with you and I was shining flashlights around. I swear I saw the eye shine of something large, because when I was shining kind of high up, anything that would be above my head, and I swear I could see like eye shine and then what looked like a head ducked down. And I'm like, it's still there, but I'm not dumb enough to. I say I want to go out and tackle it and rip some hair out, but no, I was like, I was gonna go wherever you went.
You're talking about the first night or two when we had the camera facing towards us, and then we turned it around.
No, this is the
same night.
Of the night of the sighting.
Because do you remember we thought after you had seen that thing, we had a camera facing towards us that we ended up flipping around that direction to see if we could capture it. That's why I thought maybe you were talking about that, because you could hear things moving around, and the thing is that thing's about a 30-foot drop off.
Right.
I mean, it's impossible.
Oh yeah, when I saw what I saw. Yeah, no, I'm talking about
the actual
when we
night.
came back from town.
Yep.
And you guys were out there, had just had the sighting, and I remember flashing my flashlight around into the woods, down the trail and all that, and I could see something like move and duck down.
I gotcha.
Just for a split second. And it startled me, and well, hell, I'm not running toward it. I mean,
especially in the dark.
I want to.
In the dark.
I want to, but I'm still at that point. There I weigh my options: go chase it and find something real, have the the find that amazing thing that everyone's been and find it, or get attacked by some major creature that's going to rip me in two and be covered in ticks at the same time.
Yeah.
So I kind of went against that. So.
Well, and like I said, it was starting to mist that night, and it wasn't coming down hard, but it was starting to rain a little bit, mist. And when we saw that thing, we ran out there to the location where it was, which was not too far from the main drive area where we parked our cars and stuff. And I looked down, and I can see the grass rising up where this thing had been standing. I mean, you can see the outline of a footprint not very clear, but still enough to know where it was. And the grass was raising up. I mean, so something was obviously standing there, staring at us. That it gave us, it made an impression in the ground. It was heavy enough to make an impression in the ground. But yeah, I don't know. As far as the portals go with Bigfoot and stuff like that, I don't know. I get it. It's a way for it to slip in and out of things without being detected and never being seen.
Yeah, to me, I feel like that's just a cop out of an answer of why we can't catch it or why it's so elusive. I feel like it's just a cop out of saying, "Oh, it's just going interdimensional," and it's like, come on.
Well, and the portals too. You gotta think about how many portals you're gonna have up there. In the
oh my God! How come I haven't walked into a freaking portal? You know?
Watch you put on.
Yeah. How come I haven't been walking in the woods?
How do you know you haven't?
Maybe I'm not here.
I'm not saying you disappeared or anything, but
no. But I mean, I've never experienced anything like zapping me or feeling. I don't know.
Because what if
I don't even
I'm
know
just making
what the
this
portal's
up?
supposed to be like.
Who does? I mean, without it physically being detected, but per
then
se.
How do people think that it's there? And it's like that's what they're doing. I don't understand it.
What about when, and this is going to be kind of left field, sort of, like when you're driving home, we'll say, and that's the best example I can give.
Right.
You're driving, and you're just kind of, and yes, you're dazed and confused, and it's kind of like I don't want to say it's a memory loss or time travel kind of a thing, but then you look up, you're like, holy crap, I'm further than I thought I was, and how'd I get here without killing somebody or myself? I mean...
Are you talking like going home from work? And
just
driving.
Like driving anywhere. If you're driving home from work, I mean, we take the same route every day pretty much. We're creatures of habit.
Well, so that happens to me sometimes when I'm just going to work or something. That's
right.
Because I'm bored with my life and I don't want to do that anymore.
And
I'm just zoning out as I'm driving to work, But
yeah.
But no, I know. And it's kind of like what Marie D. Jones was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was on the show. Yeah.
Is it time travel? Is it a portal? Is it just we're stupid people and you're going to kill somebody one of these days if we don't pay attention? Or what is it? I mean, I don't know. That's why I said you asked about how I've never experienced a portal, you personally. Maybe you have. Maybe that's what that is. I don't know. I'm making shit up.
I don't know.
But like I said, I wish you could have gone to that one house. If there's ever such thing as a portal, that's the closest I've ever felt or came to or experienced, just because of the fact that the intensity level was weird. It was giving off a vibration, if that makes any kind of sense, and you could just feel it. Like I said, being too close to it made me nauseous. I didn't want to be there, and I thought it was just me. And I was like, Jeremiah, go stand over there in that corner without telling him too much. And he's like, oh my God, you could just feel it, and you can almost hear the vibration, if that makes sense. And it's not. It was just one part of the house.
Yeah.
And just weird shit happened. We started taking pictures of it, and we'll bring the pictures one of these days and show you guys. It was weird. I can't. That's all I can say. It was just weird. And right below is not too far from there is the ectoplasm wall. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's a lot of coincidence, a lot of weird sounds. I need to play out evidence from that. We'll play that one of these days to you guys, people at home. Some of the stuff we caught on there I can't explain. I called it the voodoo house because of the fact that she was having, like, she'd come out to her house and there'd be salt poured around her house, like all the doors, all the windows, that she wasn't doing. Once again, is this somebody trying to conjure something up in there or curse the house and keep it in there and bring it in? Because her husband was her husband's girlfriend, he had a new girlfriend, his ex-husband kind of a thing, was from Louisiana. So, I mean, New Orleans, all that stuff, they're notorious for voodoo and all that stuff. She said she found a voodoo doll outside her house.
Right.
She said the girl caught the girlfriend took some of her hair supposedly from out in the trash can and stuff like that and tied it up, and I don't know. That's why I kept calling it the voodoo house. I was reluctant to go in there because I'm like, what the hell are we dealing with? I've never experienced that one-on-one as far as on a case, but then again, I never thought we would do demonic, and we've come across a couple of things that seem to be that way possibly. Yeah. So who knows? But I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy. So,
but on the last thing for portals, physically tracking. One time, Brendan and I were out. We got out there to this area about 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Through some packs on, we went hiking, and we were just trying to see if there's any evidence, and we started tracking actual footprints.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, it was all very physical stuff. It wasn't, I don't know. It was, you know, we didn't walk into a portal ourselves. We didn't do any kind of, you know, there wasn't anything like that. It was just like, it was like tracking an animal.
Right.
You know, and
Oh, shoot.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, until you actually go out and actually do some research and physically go out there hiking and tracking stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's easy to say, oh, it's alien, or it's a spiritual thing that's just going through portal to portal, and that's why it's dodging everybody. But when you're out there actually seeing it and hearing it and knowing that it's just like living out there amongst us, and it's watching you.
Right.
And it's because we're too busy doing other things all the time. We're not paying attention to the fact that it's hiding. I mean, out there by Canopolis Lake, there is a recorded sighting of a family, not out in the campgrounds or anything. They're over there by the kind of like the maintenance building and all that, where you go in and in the check-in building, you know, pay for your camping and
Right.
boating. They're over there, and the river that's over there kind of by the dam and all that. They're just, I think, just eating a picnic lunch out there until they finally notice that they're being watched from behind the tree
Right.
right over there. It's peeking out from behind there, and they're noticing this huge creature.
Right.
I mean, it didn't just, I don't know, it's just, they're everywhere. It's just not many people are paying attention to
Yeah,
it.
we're too busy living our lives or attempting to that we're oblivious to.
Too much of this, too. Nowadays,
For sure.
Yeah.
you
Thing
know.
is, though, like you talk about, everybody's talking about why can't you capture on camera? Well,
Who's to say though some of those images and video footage aren't real, like the Freeman footage?
no, I'm just saying we can speak from
Yeah.
to our own personal experiences. The reason why is because we've had so many experiences, whether it be ghost related, be possible Bigfoot to whatever, that you're just baffled about what you're seeing. That you're like, you don't think about, oh, let's pull my camera out and start videoing.
Now it'd be
It's
nice to
crazy.
be videotaping the entire time, everywhere you go. You know, have it strapped to you, kind of like what you're going to be having pretty soon,
Yeah.
and all that.
We'll try that out.
Are we boring you?
No, sorry.
No, I've been
Engage at 3 o'clock this morning.
I've
Okay.
been yawning too, but
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
Yeah.
I think there's a tornado warning, so we need to probably start wrapping up.
Alrighty.
And it's plus it's 9 o'clock. It's that time, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in this evening. We'll continue this talk hopefully next week, a little different, but we'll find some new stuff. We'll probably bring some evidence if we can do it, and see, we'll just get some visual and audio stuff going on. And like I said, we'll start doing some experience live on air, and you guys can tell us what you see and hear and whatnot, and we'll do some more live investigations on the Cryptic Heartland page also too. So I promised you guys I'll get the Ectoplasm show. That Jason and myself got the chance to talk to. We talked to Jason Kupsik and Josh Hurd of the Ectoplasm show about the KC Paracon that's coming up in August that we're going to take part of. We'll have a vendor booth out there. We're also going to do some talking. So yeah, so I don't know what else. You have anything to say? Wrap it up?
yeah, let's get out of here before
Okay.
tornado hits.
Yep. Thank you guys. Once again, make sure you like and subscribe to our page. Like this episode. Share it with your friends. Tell somebody. Turn notifications on. That way, when we go live, you can go live with us. And yeah, that's all we have to say for tonight. And we will talk to you guys next week. Same time, guys.
All right,
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
bye.
Bye.